I'm Janet McMillan, President of PTO this year. Welcome to this morning's sun, and school is in session. Thank the Lord. This is our third of 4 meetings of the year, a meeting that we love to share either important information that we think is valuable to you as parents, in collaboration with the school as parent-teacher organization. So we have a great presentation this morning, thanks to Dr. Miles and a whole team of people. But first, as we are starting, I just wanted to talk about our nominating. Next month, we are already meeting as a nominating committee to select people for next year's PTO. And
Good morning, Indian Hill. Today is Wednesday, January 15th, and these are your morning announcements. Mock trials having a bake sale today during MP in front of...
Well, that was appropriate to listen to. A great segue for today's program. There is a lot going on at Indian Hill. One very important thing for PTO I did want to mention, and I'm really excited to see a lot of new faces, people that have moved here or just newer to the PTO meetings. We have a nominating committee next month with several meetings, and we would love for you to consider nominating yourself or a friend to be a part of the executive board for PTO. If you look around this room, we're all the same. Parents that want to be involved and are passionate about our children's education and building better relationships with the staff and administration. If that is one of you, please consider signing up for nominating. And even if you're like, what are my skill sets? We can make you believe that you have many gifts. But feel free to talk to any current board members. Will you just raise your hand real quick? Please feel free to talk to any of us. We would love to just share with you this incredible experience PTO is. You don't need to come with a resume, just that you want to get involved would be great. Love to talk to you, but this is online. If you even want to email me with just some notes about you or a friend, we'd love it. So thank you. And Joel Denahoe is not here. He's our treasurer today at a meeting conflict. But just wanted to share some halfway numbers for some of our fundraising. And monies are continuing to enrich PTO, which in turn only enriches the schools. So we're really excited about that. These are just some of the programs that have already benefited this year. Crystal Clear, 5th grade, already has their spirit wear, bouncing around the schools. They're really excited. Conference dinners, and just to highlight conference dinners, it takes a lot of volunteers, and we love to feed the staff. That's just something we do. And but it does take some budget money. Field trips, just to enrich the opportunities our children have. Chess Club is an ongoing, incredible opportunity for kids in the lower schools. And this year, an added club, if any of you are not familiar with Indian Hill Performing Arts Club, there's a huge section on the Indian Hill PTO website, but classes from, learning how to build sets to singing, dancing, puppeteering, everything. And that club has just exploded. And the neat thing is, I wanted to mention why PTO, it kind of falls under PTO, is any extra monies is funneled directly back into the music programs for our schools, to retune the pianos, to replace instruments, to help enhance any of the rooms or programs that they are bringing in here, and making it easier access for your children to have enriched classes. So it's been great. Spotlight, if you missed it this weekend, it was incredible. I'm sorry the current chairs aren't here, but Jen Howell has already agreed to chair it for next year and already met. So these are tentative numbers. Numbers-wise were for children for money coming in, I don't want to really share the exact. I have tentative numbers, but we've already surpassed last year's spotlight for funds raised and children participating, which is awesome. Power the Pen was a middle school program brought in very recently to the middle school. PTO said, what can we do to help? And they 120 schools? What was that number?
21 schools.
21 schools?
270 students.
Okay, I knew there was 100. 270 students went to the middle school on Saturday for the writing contest. And they were judged, and it was an incredible day. Thank you, Megan Joy, for helping orchestrate this whole thing at the last minute. I've only heard wonderful things about it. Just another way that we can help be involved for our schools. Spring Fling, obviously, will be March 8th. I think that's the date. Even if you just would love to help out just a little bit, make sure when the Spring Fling announcements come out, sign up. Just a 2-hour shift, it's a blast. So if you have kids in that primary or elementary school, it's a super fun Saturday. Even if it's after your basketball game or soccer game, it's really fun. Holiday Market, once again, topped our records from last year. Brought in, we believe this is our final number. And I have to compliment the chairs of Holiday Market because the night before we thought we would have to cancel it due to the weather. And they had faith and had a remarkable morning of fun and entertaining. And I know I'm enjoying Mother of the Year gifts at home. So just a few things that PTO is doing. Now I'd like to have Nancy highlight Party on the Hill and capital grants.
I think you've seen these numbers a couple times now, but these are the final from this year. And as you can see, the total net was a little over $47,000. Our gross was about 60, so they did a great job keeping the expenses down because that was one heck of a party. You missed it. Don't miss it next year, September 20th, already on the calendar. Of that money, we take a fifth and we give it to the boosters, and then the boosters in turn give their form of capital gifts to our school communities. And they do some things we share, we'll split some costs on things, and other things they do that are completely different. So just kind of watch for their announcements of what they've been supporting. We have a little bit of reserve for startup for next year, which means we have a total balance of $40,826,000 that we give to the 4 schools. And it's split basically by grade, and then each school makes their choices based on what their schools need and what their teachers are requesting. And there's a list, it's kind of hard to see, because there's so many nice things. And I think that the principals will probably talk a little bit more about the specifics of the items, but they're really exciting, and PTO capital grants are very happy to be making these gifts. Looking forward, very importantly, we're already planning for Party on the Hill for next year. Like I said, it's on the calendar for September 20th. It'll be back at the Winter Club. Kelly and Chris did such a great job last year that we felt like we would just copy them. Amy Rippey has agreed to chair it. We're looking for a co-chair for her. We would love to have someone who has some experience with the older schools, since Amy's kids are very young and she has influence in the younger schools right now. So we also need auction chairs, and we need worker bees and anybody who wants to do anything. And I know that Kelly had a great time last year with her committee, and they had lots and lots of people involved, so really it was not too much for anybody other than maybe Kelly and Chris.
No, it's funny that sometimes chairing things, isn't the big, job. It's, it just is gathering everything together, so it was really fun.
Anyone? So anyway, keep it in mind, and again, as you're thinking of nominating people for PTO board, also think of people who we might not have thought of who would be really interested in taking on a leadership role or any role with Party on the Hill. It's a lot of fun. We all had a great time, and when the time comes, get your tickets bought early because we sold out last year. It was packed, and we think that'll happen again this year. So that's it.
Well, Crystal segue to the bulk of our program. I can't thank the staff enough for giving what you do to us as parents and helping us with the journey that we're taking with our children's education. So thank you so much for being here and helping us share this information with other parents. So I don't know, principals want to start or?
Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know, I'm Jim Nichols, principal at the primary school, and boy, I get an opportunity just to say thanks, and I have a lot to be thankful for, especially at the primary school. There's so many things that have been happening. I want to start by, we just had last week our open house, and this is an opportunity for prospective parents to come in and walk around the school, go into some actual classroom where teaching is occurring, and just really have an opportunity to see all the great things, because we're very protective of the classroom. We don't allow that typically, because any interruption can take away from the learning process. So this is the one day where parents can come in. And I can't tell you that the best salesman for our district are you as parents. And we're so fortunate we had some parents there that met with them, walked them around, and talked with them. And almost every one of those parents, when I got a chance to see them before they left, said, wow, you can tell how much love there is in this community because of the people who walked us around and how passionate they were. So I just think that's a great example of how lucky we are to be in such a supportive environment, and you really help us make the schools so wonderful. So we had a great open house. I know it's a little ways back, but I want to mention Holiday Market again. We were kind of talking all night long on that day before, leading up to Holiday Market, about is this going to happen, and we were closed on that Friday, and the volunteers still came in on that Friday when we were closed, even though they had their kids with them and everything, and they went and set it up. And if you attended Holiday Market, you probably didn't notice any change, but that was because of all the hard work that went in that day and the day before, making sure if we do need to communicate to families what's going to happen. If we had to cancel, we had a plan in place, and we also had a plan in place if we went ahead and held the event, which we did, and so we were able to make sure, and from everything I've heard, we had a great turnout. So kudos to those the parents that put all that on. So it just was a great event. You mentioned Spotlight. Wow, our kids are talented. That was another amazing day. There's so many that we could talk about, so many of the different acts, but I just think that really speaks to our community. It's unique to this school district, and that our kids are brave enough to get up there. And every time I see them get up, I'm sure you all, if you went, you saw our little kindergarten friend who got up there, he did a little hula hooping. It's like, wow, where do you get the bravery? Maybe you just don't know. I don't know. It's just tremendous to see them get up there and feel so confident. And when you think about, I know Mark's going to talk about beyond the books, we have so many experiences here that are beyond the books. They're beyond what the classroom. And that's why I feel like we're so focused on a well-rounded student. Obviously, academics are so important to us, but it's more than that. And this is one opportunity for our kids to shine outside of the classroom. And some of those kids, you never know. Maybe one of those kids struggles in an academic subject. They shine there, and confidence is such an important part. So we're excited about that. I want to give you. A couple other things. One, we had our Mexico unit that came up, and if you've gone through the primary school in the last few years, you know how big of a deal that is. It's such a great cross-curricular opportunity for our kids, where art gets involved, music is involved, the Spanish program is involved, the classrooms are involved, and the kids take a trip to Mexico. They go into the multi-purpose room. We had a really great pilot who steered us on the right course, and Pilot Miles, he got them off, and they took off, and then they were on a trip for 2 weeks. And we had so many volunteers coming in through that time helping us out. So we appreciate that. I want to thank the everyday volunteers too. At the primary school, if you look at our list at the end of the day, it's well over 100 on an average day, parents who are coming in, and not just volunteering for the big events that we all talk about and hear about, but come in and work with a child and help them work on their sight words, or cut some things out for a teacher so that they can spend time doing things that will impact the planning and the learning. So I want to thank those volunteers as well. And finally, let me thank the PTO for the generous gifts that they have given the primary school. Over the past 2 years, the PTO has put an iPad in every single classroom at the primary school, and we think that technology is really important. We know our kids are using it at home, and we think that they need to be using it in the school as well. And so we've been very, very fortunate that all the classrooms now have that. Now our next project is to start to put more in there. And I know the PTO has said we're going to do that, but as a building, we're going to be looking at opportunities to put more of that technology in place for our kids as well. The teachers are doing some amazing things with it. The iPad can connect to our smart boards, and so they can be doing something here or hand it to a child, and they can do something while they're sitting on the carpet that the rest of the class can see. So there's so many possibilities with that, and I greatly appreciate that. We send our kids to some amazing field trips. You've embedded Green Acres into your budget, which I can't tell you how great that is, that we know we can go there. The opportunity there, it's such a unique environment for our kids, and no other school gets the opportunity to go there at no charge except for the busing costs, which you pick up for. So we greatly appreciate that. Just a couple of quick notes. If you are a primary school or an elementary, and Melissa may talk about this too, we're going to go ahead and delay our report card by a week. It was going to go out this Friday, but with the days at the beginning we lost because of the cold, we just felt like we want to make sure we're really accurately reflecting the progress of each child, and we need a little more time to do that. So we're going to wait one more week, and so those things will come home next Friday. You'll also be getting MAP reports. I know most of you are, we talked about that in some of our meetings, measures of academic progress. You're going to be getting a second report, and so there's going to be a letter that goes along with that. I advise everybody to read that letter carefully because I think it does a great job of describing how to interpret those results. And just a reminder that the more data points we have, the more opportunities the students have to take this. And again, they take it 3 times a year, every year. The more of those data points, the better idea we're going to have of how students are growing. So that's coming home. I think I hit on all of it. Just a big thanks to all the volunteers, because at the primary school we just can't do it without you. So that's all I've got to do. Thank you.
All right, my turn. I see lots of familiar faces, but just in case, my name is Melissa Stewart, and I have the privilege to be the principal at the elementary school, which is about the best place in the world to be, and I can prove it. So number one is, before the break, there was no happier place to be than the elementary school, because they believed, and there is spirit in the air. And I want to start by saying thank you to all the parents who came in and helped us with all of our holiday parties. It was so festive and it was so much fun, but we could not pull that off if it wasn't for all of your help. And also, our students also benefit greatly from Holiday Market. And personally, my family has been going since my children were in diapers, and it's become part of our family tradition that just welcomes in the season. And it just is so smooth when you go in. It just runs so well, and I know that takes a lot of work for the people who put that on, so thank you for doing that every single year. One of the things I also want to say about the elementary is that the 2 calamities we had due to snow days. Now, Dr. Miles, you might think that you called that, but the students at the elementary really believe it was all of the ice cubes that they flushed down the toilet that caused the snow days. So they totally believe that they have the power to make that happen. So be aware. They wear their pajamas backwards, put spoons under their pillows. Am I right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I also just want to say that we had also an open house, the same as everybody else did, and Mona and Dana came up and helped us with that. We really appreciate that. And as parents came in, we actually had some parents who even enrolled right away. And one of the things that I said to them as they were talking about give us some advice about what we do, is I said, join PTO. Join PTO. Because what you will find is you will find a network of other parents who are warm and welcoming, and will give you a lot of information about what can happen outside of school, whether that be fine arts or sports or clubs or activities, and it will give you a network for finding out what's going to happen in the future, and they are such supportive people. And so I just want to say thank you for all that you do for the elementary. Nancy mentioned briefly about capital grants, and I won't go over my entire list, but I thought I'd just give you like an example of one of them. So we are really thankful. Some of the things that you've provided for us are things that we could not do without your help. So an example of that would be that their art department has asked for some small netbooks. And the reason they wanted those netbooks is because they are going to start a video blog for the students in art class. So much of what you make in art class is really difficult to really explain to the parents the process over the time. And especially in the world of elementary, process is as important as product. As well as some of the items, it's hard to get home. They're big sculptures and things like that. So what we're going to try to pilot is we're going to have some of the students capture pictures of their art over time and then blog to family members about it, so that grandma and grandpa or an aunt and uncle or a good friend can then go to the blog and see how an art project is progressing over time, to be able to see how it's going and be able to give reinforcement statements back to the students. Those are the things that we can do that I think really helps to grow the whole child, and we could not do that without your help. So I'm really, really appreciative. I'm being a little repetitive, but I also just have to comment on Spotlight. If you had a chance to be there, it was so fantastic. Those students are so much more talented than I am. I don't know, have you seen Mr. Nichols dance though? It's pretty impressive. Yeah, well, we've already got an invitation for next year. So get the dance shoes on, right? Okay.
Solo.
The thing that I love about Spotlight, and what I say to parents all the time, is if you can encourage your children to be a part of it, whether it's stage crew or it's actually performing, it is such an initial opportunity for them to perform in an environment that is nothing but warm and welcoming and supportive to students who are 5, 6, all the way to 11 years of age. And so when they get up, you can see, and I know them, so I know sometimes the little nerves, I can hear it in their voices, but just the clapping that takes place, the encouragement, is such a wonderful opportunity for them to experiment with the whole venue of performance. And I thought that the whole show ran so smoothly, and I'm so proud of our students. And it was a lot of discussion when we came back to school the following day to talk about all the wonderful performances they saw. We have some great things coming up at the elementary. Just to repeat, to make sure that you do not look for your report cards on Friday. They'll be a week later. And then additionally at the elementary, they will now be available online as well. So as you go to Progress Book, you will see a link to report card, and if you click that, you'll be able to view that report card online. And then additionally, whenever you see something that is an acronym, if you hover above it, it's going to then give you a definition as well. So you'll be able to really quickly go back and review quarter 2 compared to 3 and 4, and hopefully that will make that navigation process much easier for you. We have Spring Fling coming up. Most of you are familiar with Spring Fling, but it's like our school carnival. And it's hosted at the elementary school, and it's for all students. So we have a lot of primary school and elementary students who are involved on that Saturday and come and participate. And we have a lot of middle school and high school students who come back to help us put it on. It is, I always think, an elementary and primary school life is not complete without a carnival. It just has to happen. It's just such a memory for all of them. And we are in those final stages of planning. So if that is something that you're interested in, we would love to have volunteers, and you can contact either the school office or Dana Bridge, and she will help you to get that set up. And just as I finish, I just want to say, I had an opportunity to meet with a group of principals recently, and we were all exchanging stories about what math program we're considering or how we're teaching writing. And from there, the conversation went into talk about how do you do a school carnival? How do you consider your choir concerts? And all the things that make a school have a culture that's unique to them. And when I was having that conversation, I left, and the one thing I left driving home was how lucky I am to be in Indian Hill. This is such a unique place. It really is different than any other school district that I have ever been involved in. And part of that is due to the teachers, but a big part of that is you as parents. And I'm just thankful for all of your support, and most of all, I'm just thankful that you send your students to us and give us the honor and the privilege of working with them every day. This is a really special place to be in. Just know that we are all thankful for it every day.
Thanks for being here. I have a real love-hate relationship with thank yous because I totally appreciate their importance, but I always feel like I forget something. So then, I always have to kind of backtrack and try to remember who I forgot. So apologies if I forget anyone. Some great things happening at the middle school, and some thank yous that I really want to extend. Holidays lunch continues to be a great success and a great event for the kiddos. We're looking to do that, I think, next week or 2 weeks for the semester. We couldn't do that without PTO. The support that you offer our teachers through capital grants is absolutely exceptional. We are so blessed this year through capital grants to create what, I can't find a better word than experimental, but sometimes that makes people feel like you're experimenting on my child, and that's not what it is. But an experimental classroom for our teachers to come into a setting that looks very different than a traditional classroom. It really engaged students in a collaborative learning space that is really built around group work. So if you think of a traditional classroom, it's a bunch of desks in a row that we kind of force into a group setting and kind of, and it's awkward. PTO has generously supported through capital grants the furniture and the necessities that would be required to create this experimental classroom, and we're expecting that to be delivered here in a couple weeks, and just really looking forward to the exciting possibilities of that, and watch our teachers just fly with innovation. So that's a huge thank you. I know Janet mentioned Power of the Pen, and there's a little backstory to Power of the Pen that I think is really important to know. It had traditionally been hosted, I think, with Summit Country Day School, and for a lot of different reasons they were unable to host it this year. It's an enormous event, 21 schools, almost 300 students, a lot of logistics go into it. Another school stepped up and then they couldn't do it, and Tony Rourke and Kim Given came to me, I think it was in October, and said, Power of the Pen's kind of in a pinch, they want to know if we can host, and I think in the back of their mind they were saying, please say no, please say no, please say no. And I said, yes, absolutely, we can do this. And they were great sports about it, but it's an event that is really a year. They will begin about this time planning for next year's event. So if you can imagine starting in October for an event that's going to happen in January, it was an enormous feat and absolutely could not have been done without PTO. So Megan and Holly Oakes and Julie Richardson were just absolutely instrumental in pulling that off. What was great about it was, you know, I don't want to say we were flying by the seat of our pants, but it wasn't an event we had done numerous times and had a lot of experience doing. But that morning, as students kind of and teams congregated in the auditorium, the feedback from the coaches of the other teams about how smooth the check-in process was and the operations of it, and I thought, gosh, if this is us flying by the seat of our pants, wait until we really have this nailed down. It was just exceptional. In the feedback, I know Dr. Miles received some that I received from coaches and parents that were there that were not Indian Hill, about the kindness of our students and the kindness of the adults that worked. Was just absolutely exceptional, and it just speaks to everything we do. An Indian Hill teacher that retired a couple years ago said, you can teach people a lot of things, but you can't teach kindness. You can only parent kindness, and that speaks so much to our community and our kids and the work you do at home to support what we do here. So thank you for all of those. Capital Grant, Power of the Pen. We've got a couple upcoming events. I don't know the date, but in February we've got our 5th grade open house for parents to come up and get a feel for what the middle school is going to look like. We have also at the middle school, I'm sure the other schools have experienced it as well, a real uptick in kind of the school shopping for parents and families moving into the community, looking at options. And what's great is that by and large they come in and they say, we Googled best schools in Cincinnati and Indian Hill came up, so you were our first stop. And we've had great success, to my knowledge. We've probably had about 20 school shoppers this year, and every one of them that has actually moved to the Cincinnati area has selected Indian Hill schools. So that is just wonderful. I would have maybe one ask to PTO and to parents. A lot of times what really helps them make the decision is being able to talk to another parent who has lived the experience. So if that is something you'd be interested in kind of being a salesperson for Indian Hill and helping us do that, we would love to put you in touch with some of these families as they come in. That would be wonderful, and I know that helps as well. And if you know anybody, we really believe strongly, if we can get them in the door to see what we're doing, it's hard not to fall in love with this place. So if you know anybody that's moving in from out of town or looking to move from within the community, please have us get in touch with us. We think we have great things to offer, and we'd love to have that FaceTime with them. So that's the middle school. All about the high school.
It is. I just want to say welcome to the high school, first of all. And also, thank you so much for your support. this is an awesome job to have, to be with teenagers, because they make you smile. They make you smile and they make you laugh, and sometimes they can make you cry. But it's an awesome job and an awesome place to be. And one of the things that I think you should be most proud of is the way your kids respond when we ask them to do something, and also the heart and kind heart that they have. And that has to do with the way you have raised them and what you have instilled in them. So thank you for giving us students like that. I have a couple of things that I have here on my phone, and there are a couple things there as well. But first of all, I would like to share with you something that happened last week when we returned. It was funny because we came back 2 days later, and all of a sudden all of the 10th graders were out of class. And they were out of class because of Redo Day. And what we do during Redo Day is reestablish some relationships and some friendships all day with kids. And it's great because you pretty much trick them into processing what's going on in their lives, reflecting over the course of time of how things have occurred, how do I reestablish and recreate some of the friendships and relationships that I've had and they no longer exist. It was a great opportunity for our kids to get out of their comfort zone, step across the line, and reestablish, reconnect. And it was done because of the Parent Coalition, which is a part of the PTO. Without the PTO, this would not have happened. And it was a great opportunity. Our kids gave us a lot of positive feedback. I saw kids who don't usually say anything standing up and sharing with others about what has happened and how they can change things to make not only life for themselves better, but for the people that are around them. So it was a great opportunity, and I thank you for giving us that opportunity. And I also thank our parents because, of course, when you have an event that's all day with 160 kids, you want to make sure you can feed them, and that's what you all did for us as well, and we do appreciate that. The other thing is our group is thinking about how do we involve the 11th graders, because we have Bridges for the 9th graders, we have Redo Day for the 10th graders, and then we skip 11th grade year, and then senior trip for the 12th graders. So we're processing how, as a group, as a PTO group for this building, of how we can get something for our 11th graders. And if we want something and we're looking for something that's around team building, if you don't know this, 11th grade is a very difficult time. It's a stressful time for 11th graders because they're all planning, where do I go to school? What do I do? How do I get there? And we want to be supportive, but we also want to create a well-rounded student. And we want them to understand that we value them and we appreciate what they're doing and how hard they're working. And maybe this is that piece of that puzzle that would allow them an opportunity to do some team building activities. So we're processing how that would look, and hopefully we'll come up with something in the next month or so, and we'll be able to communicate to the parents of the high school students what we will be doing. And we may need you to feed them again, so for that. Also, I want to share some things with you in regards to some of the things that you bought for us. We have some scopes. Some of this stuff, it's funny because as I'm describing them, I can't even explain to you what they are because our kids are so high tech in regards to what they utilize in the science labs that I'm going through a list. Jim can tell you, we go through the list and we say, well, this is what it is. And you've been very supportive about that. And then to go down and actually see some of these things, we've taken tours to see what you have done for us, and it's amazing to see this stuff put into action, and we do appreciate that. Some of the things that, when I look up here, the parent-teacher conference, you being there and supporting, those are always fun times for the staff when you have parent-teacher conference and you look forward to the dinner that's coming up. I always look forward to food. We also thank you for the author visit. We have one author already has been here. The same one is coming back. You have sponsored that visit. It's in collaboration with our Haiti project, where we're trying to provide a well in Haiti. Our entire school is focused on that. And it's funny because when you bring up a project, and that's why when I talk about you coming together and our kids coming together, they actually have come together with this one project and they want to see it happen. And Friday night they're doing Hoops for Haiti. And what they're going to do, if they're selling water, they have a challenge to the principals that they're going to have at the game. But they're focused on helping those individuals that are less fortunate than they are. So that's something that you have created and instilled in your students. Some other things that are upcoming in regards to our school is the new student luncheon. We've been able to start a new student luncheon last year, and our Braves Council gets together, and they're the ones that run this meeting where all of our new students come in and we ask them, where are you from? We welcome you. We want to put a familiar face with them so that they understand that there is someone in this building that is supporting them. And last year our parents helped with some of that, as well as the homecoming game on January 31st. We would like to see whether it's the smallest one, Melissa's kids, Jim's kids, all of the kids. We want them at the homecoming game to support that night. Also, something special that's happening that night is senior night for our students in the winter sports. During that time, we will also have the Hall of Fame. A lot is going on that night, so Hall of Fame induction will be there as well. So we would love to see you come out and support our kids during that time. Once again, thank you for everything you have done for us. Please continue to do what you've done over the past years that I've been here, and I know that our kids will continue to thrive in this great environment that you have created. Thank you.
Well, good morning once again. I'm Mark Miles, Superintendent of Schools. Some of you know me as the voice in the morning. I apologize for some of those 5:30 a.m. telephone calls. That's a live recording. I don't pre-record those and hit a computer. I'm at my desk early in the morning making those calls. I appreciate our parents' understanding on those days, because those are difficult decisions for me as superintendent. I have a bias toward being in school, having our kids and staff members here, so it's challenging for me to make that call. But the safety of our students and staff remains a priority for me. So, again, I appreciate your understanding. I just want to reiterate thanks to you for the learning partnership that we have in Indian Hill. Our principals talked about that. It is a competitive advantage for us. And as Janet and I talked about the presentation today, really we brainstormed a variety of ideas. The principals brainstormed a variety of ideas of beyond the books. What sets us apart beyond the outstanding academic program that we have? These are competitive advantages for us. And I'm going to talk a little bit about these elements, and there are going to be some other individuals talking about these competitive advantages. We recognize that by no means is this a comprehensive list, and if we have time, I'm going to engage the group here today in a smaller activity to ask you what we have missed today. This list is always evolving, but if you've ever had an opportunity to have your children or be engaged in another school district, as Melissa said, this is a very unique place. And as I came here last year, and I'm a parent too in the district, you quickly recognize the many advantages that we have here. So today is just about highlighting some of those competitive advantages that we have. So I've outlined the presentation along Braves. We're going to talk about bring your own technology and the opportunities that provides. We're going to talk a little bit about the relationships that our students have and that we have with parents. We'll talk about access, volunteer opportunities and activities within the community. We'll talk about the extracurricular opportunities, and we'll talk a little bit about the support services, our facilities and transportation that we have here. And then, if time allows, we'll gather some additional perspectives, so all of you will be involved in the presentation today as well. So to begin, we're going to talk a little bit about bring your own technology. That's rather unique. Some districts provide technology, I would say very few, But in our district, students are allowed to bring technology. I've asked Arlene Piquet, our Director of Technology, to talk just a little bit about what advantage that provides for our teachers and staff. Arlene?
I know some of you have heard me talk about this before, some of you are new and haven't. I'll tell you, this has been a journey for us. You know, it's been 6 years in the making, and this is our second full year at the high school. And I'll have to tell you, when we started this journey, I was reminded by one of our former board members, I had said way back when, bring your own over my dead body. And how quickly we changed, though. And you know, it's been really interesting because I could probably argue from both perspectives, but if you came to me today and said, would you change this? I would argue vehemently against it. And it's been because of the things that we've seen here. We did a lot of research. We first started looking at, let's provide a computer for every child. And in doing that, there are obviously some advantages to doing that. There are some disadvantages to doing that. The consistency is an interesting thing. BYO is not consistent. We've got all kinds of different technology in student hands. But if you think about the real world, not everybody has the same computer in their hands. So it's been a tremendous learning experience for our students to realize that when I have to send something to my teacher, translate that to boss somewhere down the road or customer, then I'm going to have that in a format that the teacher can understand. And so even something as basic as that, little things like if we provided technology for every student, what we saw in other schools was that technology, while it goes home with the student, is really the schools. So when something happens with that technology, they expect the teacher to know how to resolve that and to fix that, someone else to fix that for them. But when it's theirs, they know you, Mrs. Teacher, doesn't have a clue, and I really don't want you touching my computer. So they understand how to manage that, and they understand how to really take care of that. Yes, they'll come into my office if it gets to something that they don't understand how to do, and I'll help them with those things. But it's really a great thing, and I hope this translates at a college level, because we had seen and heard a lot of stories about students who went off to college, first time they had their own computer in a very free environment, and they didn't know how to manage it in the classroom. They were surfing and Facebooking, and still some do that, but here we're teaching them the tools that they need to use. They get to choose the tools they need to use. They have all kinds of tools at their disposal, and what tools are appropriate. I have less question and less students. Used to break my heart, especially with girls, when I would talk to them about the technology, and they go, oh, I'm not a technology person. They're really good at this, but doing the technology and understanding the tools to apply and how to apply those things, because they weren't doing it on a daily basis. That was a whole other thing. We had how many cards? 5 cards, maybe 6 cards that you could use, and you think about that per period, that means 6 classrooms out of 50-some classrooms got technology. Now we don't have to worry about that, because teachers know, the students have it, and the great thing is even those teachable moments. When something comes up and the student can go and search for that information, or the teacher can involve a tool that they just stumbled upon last night that's perfect for this class. Those things are the really powerful and incredible things. There's story after story after story of that. So I think it's been a really good experience. We've learned a lot. We'll continue to learn a lot. We'll evolve and we'll change things, and we'll apply tools that are appropriate here, that make sense in helping us manage all of this stuff. But I think it's been a really, really good experience. I've heard, I've had individual conversations when kiddos come to my room, and I ask them about distractions, and I ask them about, what if you didn't have this? And I've never heard, I used to hear before we started this from the seniors, because it wasn't their paradigm, I don't think this is going to be a good thing. But I don't hear that from the kids walking into my office. They love the fact that they can organize themselves. They love the fact that they have that moment where I didn't get what the teacher says, and I can go quickly, look it up really quickly, and then come back and re-engage, and I have more information. So they love that ability to do that and to use the tools that they like to use. So I would say it's been a very good experience for us. Even from the teachers, it's been a big learning curve for them. God bless them, because there's a lot to learn, and there's a lot to involve, and they've been moving with this thing. I had a teacher come in somewhere about October, I think, and said, Arlene, I'm going to go print something at the copier. I'm like, yeah, you don't need my permission. Why are you telling me this? And it was because she hadn't done that yet since the beginning of the school year. They They hadn't had to print. You know, that they used to spend hours at the copier on a Friday afternoon preparing for the following week. They're not doing that now. They know they have these tools at their disposal. And I'll tell one more thing that I think I'm really thankful for with this program. When we were talking about starting this up last year, my big unknown was whether the parents would really support this. You know, I felt that the majority would, but if you thought about the seniors and the juniors, they had a year before college where they're probably going to have another computer, or 2 years, and would they really let that happen? Because the parents could have destroyed this program. And honestly, unless the students are walking in with that technology and the teacher can depend on that technology being in their hands, then the program is useless. And there have been schools where that's happened, where they've opened this up and the parents don't provide it and they don't have it in their hands, and it's more than the schools can provide. But the parents really, I think, have wrapped their arms around this, and it's been a really good thing. We don't have to worry about that. We've had a great support with our foundation, who's provided computers for the students who had that need and might not have been able to participate. It was interesting with that last year. There were kids that weren't so sure whether that was a good thing or not, you know, whether it would mark them as something different. This year we've had twice as many students come forward. Before they would be borrowing from the library, and now they've come forward for a computer. So I can't say enough good things about that. You know, I'm happy to field any questions if you have them, but it's all been positive. Thank you for your time.
So the R in Braves, the relationships. Being in a smaller school district provides a significant opportunity to develop those one-on-one relationships. We are proud of our small class sizes all the way from kindergarten through high school. That allows a teacher to develop those relationships and provide some one-on-one attention very, very frequently. Last year, when I became superintendent here, I spent pretty much the entire year listening a lot. We had the Indian Hill Schools 360 survey. I conducted some focus groups with the community, with parents, with students, and with staff members. And as I spoke with our students, I was simply amazed by the number of times they spoke of their teachers as role models and the care and compassion, the relationship that they had with their teachers. Now, there are a lot more hugs in kindergarten than there are in high school, without a doubt. There are probably more handshakes and high fives in high school, appropriately so. But so when you hear a kindergarten student or a first grader, third grader, fourth grader talk about their teachers, there is obviously this respect and sense of love that is there, without a doubt. But the thing that struck me as you hear adolescents in Indian Hill, as you hear high school students talk about their teachers in almost the very same way, about how much they admire their teachers, about how much the teachers care about their achievement. It's inspiring. So that is something that I think truly sets us apart, without a doubt. That sense of care, collaboration throughout the entire district. Related to that is access, the A in Braves. Our staff members, I as a parent, now as superintendent, I suppose when I call a teacher and request an appointment, the answer is always yes, but I believe from my perspective that access is wonderful here. I came from a larger school district, and access wasn't always immediate. Sometimes you had to wait. From my perspective, and I hope your perspective is the same as a parent, that access is very, very easy within our district. I've always said as superintendent, if you'd like to call me and schedule time to meet, I'm open to meet. I try to be out and about and have formal and informal conversations throughout the district at a variety of events. But if you ever want to sit down at a table and visit, I'm open. And I think our principals are that way too. They talk about the number of meetings they have and conversations they have with parents. So access is provided throughout the district. It's tough when you're talking about beyond the books. Academics remains at the core of what we do. Learning is at the heart of what we do. But when we talk about access, it is related to academics. Our children are provided access to many different opportunities academically, with the variety of services, and I've just listed a few here, the variety of services, the variety of academic opportunities that they are provided are outstanding. And we are constantly focused upon expanding those opportunities. Given finite resources and the expanding opportunities that we have. So we're always considering those additional opportunities. We also have opportunities for volunteerism within our community. I'm going to ask Antonio to talk a little bit about the volunteer service opportunities our students have, specifically at the high school level.
It's funny, we have this picture up here, and last year, I think it was last year, wow, these years all rolled together after a while, but last year, the seniors took it upon themselves to do something different. And one of the things that they decided to do is they wanted to do an all-class volunteer activity together. That activity dealt with Habitat for Humanity. And 2 days during that week, 3 days, I went down just to see what was going on. And when you go from one day to the other, you see how things transition, how things move from one step or one stage to the next. And it just made me so proud because this was one of the pieces of this puzzle that they had to take apart. And when you went Monday, it was a full trailer that they had to dismantle in order to use the pieces to create money for Habitat. And when I got there by the third day, they had torn the whole thing apart. Our kids were sweating, they were working hard, they actually enjoyed. It was about 60 or so of them that whole week participated in activities. They cleaned an entire street. When you first saw the street in this neighborhood, it was overgrown. You couldn't see the sidewalks. The people couldn't go down their sidewalks. They walked in the street. And our kids went there and they transitioned that whole neighborhood, that whole street. And the appreciation that our kids got for that, they just thought it was just the best thing ever because they were together, number one. Number two, they knew that they needed to change the perspective on how they acted and how they presented themselves to as they transitioned to college and as they become adults, because they knew that there was a responsibility that they not only had to themselves and their parents, but to the society in which they live. And I think that's the best part about this high school. One of the things that we emphasize is that it's the whole kid. Not only is it the whole kid, but the kid has to understand beyond this world that they live in on a daily basis, that there are people that don't live necessarily like them. And they understood that. And they took it upon themselves during that week just to give back to a society that has given them so much. And this was one of those pieces of that puzzle. Talking about Senior Project, Senior Project is a collaboration with the foundation, which has been going on for quite some time, which is pretty awesome because you see the creativity of our students. You see them come out of their shell, those that have been quiet for 4 years. All of a sudden, you see them present a project, and they may do this collaboratively, or they may do this independently. But you see them come out of their shells, come out of their small shell, and all of a sudden, they've created something that flies from here to Brown County, and they have a tracker device that they've created with a camera on it that dictates, that tracks, I should say, the patterns of the weather and stuff. And you're like, how did you come up with this? But it's open. It's time for them to create something. It's time for them to figure out what their interests are. And over that 2-week time frame, we've had kids go out of the country, and they had a team that they created, and they built a house in the Dominican Republic. You would be amazed at what happens when you allow your kid just an opportunity to just get out there and do something that they really want to do. And that's that opportunity that we provide here at the high school. When we talk about volunteer hours, our kids each year are required in this high school to complete hours of community service. It goes along with them getting credit in their social studies course. The freshmen and the sophomores have 10 hours that they must complete. And the reason why we do that is because we want to start introducing them to giving back. giving back to the community in which they live. 5 of those hours for each level, so it's 10, 10, 20, and then 30. So freshman and sophomore year, it's 10 hours. Junior year, it's 20 hours. Senior year, it's 30 hours. And each of our kids have to do this in order to graduate from Indian Hill High School. And it hasn't been a problem because our kids continuously give back to the community in which they live and beyond. Many of our kids go out to Matthew 25 Ministries. They go down to Stepping Stones. Some of our kids go way beyond 20 hours, way beyond 30 hours because they go on mission trips. And those are opportunities for them to engage in giving back to a community that they may not know anything about. The 5 hours we ask them to do is within their own community, within this community. And we separate that because of the fact that we want them to go beyond our little circle. This is a comfort zone. Sometimes we want them to be uncomfortable a little bit so that they can understand the needs of the whole. And I think what we have done and what we have provided for them is something that they won't forget as long as they are living here on this earth. So thank you once again for just supporting the efforts in order to embrace the whole student and making sure that they understand how we can engage with our entire community.
The Ian Braves is extra and co-curricular opportunities. If there is a need, collaborating with PTO, our schools will find a way to accomplish it. Whether it's performing arts, the Indian Hill Performing Arts Academy, significant collaboration with PTO this year in bringing that academy here. Clubs, writing, language, civics, DECA, mock trial. If there is an interest, there's probably an activity or a club out there that will fit that. So students in our environment can find their own niche and explore their own interests. Something rather unique, I don't know how many of you have seen the Indian Hill Television Network. You see Braves Beat probably on YouTube, but if you've ever had an opportunity, if you haven't had the opportunity to visit our television studio, it is simply amazing and provides students with an opportunity to get involved with broadcast journalism, creative writing, speaking, the development of verbal skills. I was speaking with some local superintendents recently about the television network, and they said, I wish we could do something like that. We have a dedicated space for that our students take advantage of. So I just wanted to mention those as enhancing and supporting the academic environment, because many of these activities occur either before school or after school. We don't want students only engaged in school during the school day. We want them engaged throughout the entire day, before school and after school. We want to provide a balance for our kids, and we believe that an engaged student is going to be a more productive student and a contributing member of our society. Also wanted to introduce Mr. Jeff Zidron. I don't know that Jeff has had a formal introduction to the PTO, so we're providing one today. Jeff has been with us since, well, he officially started August 1, but he was working in July this year. Jeff is our athletic director, came to us from Loveland, and it has been a pleasure working with Jeff in the continuing development of our athletic program. Jeff was handed a lot to him when he came on board, as that we were replacing the synthetic turf at Tomahawk Stadium. We were installing new synthetic turf at Shawnee Field, and Jeff hopped right in and worked with Ken Stegman and our staff members to facilitate that process. We've had a busy fall season, and Jeff's still standing, and it's been fun to work with Jeff. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Zidron, he's going to talk a little bit about our athletic program.
Antonio raises a very good term, the whole kid. It's a real simple statement, the whole kid. But that's what makes Indian Hill very unique. We estimate about 90% of our whole kids are in something other than going to school. They're in extracurriculars. Most of the principals today what they talked about was not what their test scores were. They talked about all the things that are occurring in their school, all the things outside the classroom that enables us to produce a whole kid. And it's not as simple as it sounds. Our kids do well in college because we provide more than reading, writing, and arithmetic. We do that very well, better than anybody in the city. But we also do the other stuff better than anyone in the city. Mason does great work. They do. They got 4,000 kids. They do tremendous work. 90% of our kids are in something. If they're lucky, half their kids are in something. That's not Mason's fault. That's the nature of their beast of being such a large school. Our uniqueness is not just what we provide in the classroom, but what we do outside the classroom. I'm going to talk specific to athletics, but a lot of what I talk about in terms of our mission and what we're trying to get accomplished is in all our extracurriculars, be it the television network, chorus, powwow, you name it, we got it, and I'm finding that out. I'm going to take this because I got stuff flying in, so I'll run a few over here. I hope. Okay, today, athletically, at the middle school, about half the students are in some type of athletic activity. Now, we don't have soccer there. We don't have several sports there, or this would be much higher. 16 sports covering 20 teams, about 22 coaches. At the high school, the number's really closer to 65% of our kids are in some type of official athletic activity. 24 sports, 38 teams, 62 coaches, over 70% are on the honor roll. Now, our honor roll is tough because we produce rigorous classes. This is an extremely high number, not just in terms of participation, but how many kids are doing well in the classroom, because that's a key to this. Additionally, we fully support the Indian Hill Rec Commission, which affects all the little kids throughout the town. And any given night during the fall and winter, all our gyms are being used. If we're not using them, the Rec Commission's in them until 9, 10 o'clock. So we work closely with them to make sure that all our kids within Indian Hill take advantage of our facilities, and that's very important. What are we trying to get accomplished? If all we're worried about is winning and losing and putting a good product on the field, which we want to do, but if that's it, you need to go to AAU, ABC, select soccer, all the outside programs. That's what they do. We try to do a lot of that, but we also have much more deeper sense of what we're about. We want kids to become better. Not just better at football or basketball, but better personally, academically, and socially. Otherwise, this shouldn't be in school. We're unique relative to the countries in the world. We're about the only one that has this setup where we believe that you do more than just go to school at 8 and go home at 2:30, 3 o'clock. That this becomes, especially here at Indian Hill, the center of the community. Indian Hill's kind of unique. We don't have a downtown. This is downtown. This is where people look to when they say, where do we come together for Indian Hill? It's Party on the Hill. It's at a Friday night football game. It's when you send your children to us to get educated. We want to use athletics in really all our extracurriculars. Become better leaders. Exhibit sportsmanship, fair play. And that fair play means you learn it so that when you do get into business or you're a professional, you get what fair play is. How to set goals and objectives. Our coaches all said, here's what we're trying to get done. Personally, what are you trying to get done? Understand teamwork, accountability and discipline, self-esteem, which is extremely important, and then become better prepared for college and beyond. And this, again, is not just athletics, but all our extracurriculars. Josh last night, I got a couple notes here, let me use my little phone. He talked about the 3 R's, rigor, relevance, and relationship. We cannot just be rigorous in athletics. We can't just be demanding on our athletes, because then we're not really fulfilling our mission. We have to make sure we provide something that's relevant to their life, that improves them, as well as teaches them how to be better relationship-wise, because that's what the world's about today. If all we're worried about is, did we beat Hughes last night in basketball? We didn't. We played hard. We failed our mission. If at the end of the game last night, the kid says, we played hard, here's what we need to do in the future, let's wash it away and move forward, then we've done our job. I'd be remiss unless I went through some things that happened in the fall with our athletes, because our kids are great. Some of the things we were able to achieve. Girls tennis won the state championship. Our doubles team of Carolyn Anderson and Meredith Rita finished third in the state. They also won their 17th straight conference championship, which is unbelievable. 17 straight years won the CHL. Girls lacrosse won the CHL. We had the runner of the year and the coach of the year. Boys and girls cross country both won the districts to advance the sectionals in state. Soccer won the CHL, and we had a first team All-Stater in Page. Boys soccer, for the first time in 25 years, got to the state Final Four. We had a first team All-Stater, a second team All-Stater, and our coach Bill Mees, who's been here 25 years, this is his 25th, was city and state coach of the year. And girls golf won districts. They were led by Perry Keller, who finished 5th in the state. It was their second time in the state, and our coach was coach of the year. This is great stuff. More importantly, is if you went to Perry or David or Paige and said, what'd you get out of athletics at Indian Hill? If all they said was, I finished 5th in the state, we haven't done our full job. If you talk to Perry, she'll say, it's been great. What a great ride this has been. If you talk to the boys in the soccer team, they were disappointed they lost, but the people that came out, alumni, everybody that came to those last couple of games, it was a community atmosphere, and it's what we want to get to. Some future objectives that will hopefully affect you. Number one, we're hoping to move to online registration for next fall. So all that paperwork, if you're a high school parent, you know what I'm talking about, or a middle school parent, we hope that the far majority will be, you log in, you create an account, and you electronically check off and fill in a lot of the paperwork. So that's done that way. I hope to get a parent athlete survey out by the springtime to ask, what are you looking for? You know, the community dictates what I do, really. You're the ones that tell me, here's the type of recognition we want. Here's how we want things to roll. Now, sometimes I have to say, that's not in our mission. Sometimes I say, that's a good idea and we need to take advantage of it. So we hope to get that rolled out in the spring. We've had some facility improvements. In 2013, we re-turfed Tomahawk, it was in desperate need. And then we turfed Shawnee, our soccer facility, and it is now, I think, the best facility in the city. And it's a tremendous opportunity for our kids, not just for soccer, but also girls lacrosse is going to spend a lot of time down there. Proposed for 14, if you've been to our facilities in the upper fields, our baseball and softball are woefully in need of some rehab. And we hope that gets completed in 2014. This was a shirt each kid got this year, middle school on up. They all got shirts, they were red, Indian Hill Braves tradition. One of the things that we have an advantage is we are a small community that has traditions. And each year the kids will get a different shirt. It'll look a lot like this, different colors, but it might say honor. It might say effort. It might say something that we're trying to get through to the kids that year. Because of our small environment, we are able to do this type of stuff. One thing that's usually lost, you hear a lot of people talk about athletics and sports and colleges. 95% of our kids, the last real game they play, 95% of them will be on one of our fields or on one of our courts. About 5% of our kids, and that's the average, go on to play in college. And probably half of those play a year or two. They go to Division III and they go on with their lives. If all we're doing is trying to produce athletes, we're catering to a 5% audience. That's not enough. We hope that if I have 400 or 500 kids in athletics, all 400 or 500 of them got touched positively. If you throw in powwow and all of the others, we want 90% of our kids to look back and say, very tough school. I remember working hard, but boy, did I have a lot of good times on the non-school side, and it made me a better person. That's athletics. My office is down. It's always open if you have any questions. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, finally, thank you, Jeff. The S in Braves is all about support. We have tremendous support. I could have mentioned Arlene Piquet in technology as well, but I wanted to mention very briefly our facilities as well as our transportation as you think about support. With our facilities, Mr. Ken Stegman, most of you probably never see Ken. That's probably a good thing. He's off making sure that everything is taken care of. We have a capital planning process that begins in August with walkthroughs. Our treasurer, Julie Toth, and our facility supervisor, Ken Stegman, they are constantly on the move, helping to prepare that capital plan. If you attended yesterday evening's Board of Education meeting, I provided a draft of the 2014-15 capital plan that includes a balance of academics, arts, and athletics. Now, these capital improvements will come through our facilities. For example, within the academic environment, we have constant technology upgrades. Within the high school expansion would be a recommended theater expansion so that we're no longer building sets on stage, but there would be a scene shop, 5,000 additional square feet of storage and scene area behind the theater. In addition, the reconfiguration Jeff mentioned of our upper fields, including softball and baseball, that would include stands, bleachers. So it's a constant process of improving our facilities to make sure that our students and staff members have wonderful places to work and learn each day. In addition, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our transportation services. I often say our bus drivers provide the first smile of the day on the way to school and the final smile of the day as our students go home. We have some amazing bus drivers that, again, focus on relationships. The stories I hear about the kindness that our bus drivers provide is inspirational. Again, as that Monday morning last week when it was so cold, many superintendents had already called school off the evening prior. I was a bit stubborn and said, I'm going to have more information Monday morning. Perhaps the meteorologists are incorrect. Well, they were pretty much correct. But as I drove down Drake Road that morning about 4:30, I drove right by transportation, and every single one of our buses was running, prepared to go. The lights were on. The mechanics had gotten there, I think, probably at 3 or 3:30. But Barb Leonard, our transportation director, had telephoned me to say, Mark, if you want to go, we're ready. That speaks to the dedication of our staff members and the quality, the safety of our fleet of buses. So Barb Leonard and her staff do a wonderful job making sure that our students are very safe coming to school and going home, as well as all the many field trips they have throughout the year. So again, I would say that this is not a comprehensive list, but as we brainstormed from a variety of minds, these are some of the ideas that we had. And we have 5 minutes. So here's what I would like to ask, is for you to gather into groups of 3 or 4. And I'll pass out one sheet of paper. I didn't bring poster paper, but I brought some goldenrod paper because I know these will be golden ideas. I will pass out one sheet of paper per group of 3 or 4. We'll take 4 minutes, and I would ask you to brainstorm. What have we not mentioned today that from your experience or from your knowledge sets Indian Hill apart? It's going to be a very quick brainstorm.
You can just
It'll
roll
be a
your
4-minute
chairs
brainstorm.
together.
And then I will ask I will collect all of these. This will be the ticket out today. I will collect each of these. And in 4 minutes, I'm going to ask each group to identify one item that we haven't mentioned. It's 4 minutes. At this point, we're 3.5 minutes. Share one item, one factor that sets Indian Hill apart. And then I'll provide a few closing comments, and then I'll collect your golden tickets on the way out. So, Not everyone at once.
Audrey, when we did international, the international experience, that the parents can get to learn, for the children, the learning experience, and also for just involving people.
Fantastic, thank you.
So we did international.
Okay.
Thank you.
We did speakers coming in and sharing their experience. We've had some students that have really had some very impactful moments there.
Perfect.
So after doing the tour for the schools at the open house, some parents were impressed that they had a full-time on-staff nurse at the school, which they didn't have at their institute.
Yes. Very good.
We didn't write this down, but I was thinking about it the whole time. Lori Klein, can you raise your hand? Because Foundation is a huge support with this system. I mean, unbelievable, as well as boosters. And I know Jim, and there's probably a handful of others that are involved with boosters in here that also really enhances our district.
Yes. Fantastic.
We said, and there's a lot of angles to this, but basically the teachers always go the extra mile to engage the students in outside learning opportunities, not just the opportunities in the classroom.
Yes.
Our group reflected a little bit what Andrea was saying about programs and the professional presentations and those connections to the real world. But the one we decided to talk about was the principals, how they are all warm, they're approachable, they're so plugged into your child, and that they provide great leadership for the whole school and the individual students.
Yes. So are there any other elements that we've missed, anyone need to share at this point? Anything else?
Well, there was just one other. You mentioned the gifted programs on the slide, but there's also intervention programs, more remedial as well, which is great.
Yes, there is a tremendous focus upon the individual needs of each and every child. I speak from time to time with principals about individual students, and the depth of knowledge that they have about individual students is incredible, just amazing to me. So again, before you leave, I'll collect your golden tickets. A few just final words. One is I want to say thank you for your engagement here today. We have much to celebrate in our district. Last year, we went through a process through collecting information, listening, and we, along with the administrative team and the Board of Education, we have articulated a new vision. Anybody know that vision yet? Our vision is enduring excellence in learning, leadership, innovation, and service. We hope that, now it's relatively new, but I hope that that phrase, those elements are communicated in a more widespread fashion. I think it's listed up here somewhere. But as we reflect upon our programs, our practices, we need to keep that vision in mind as to where we want to be on down the road, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We need your partnership. We need your engagement in order to work toward that vision of enduring excellence. And we will look, as you look at learning and the academic environment, as you look at leadership from students, from teachers, from parents, it's critical. As you look at innovation, there are so many opportunities that we have in education. We have to decide which direction we are going. And ultimately, as customers of our educational services, we want to provide exceptional service. I just want to say thanks for helping us work toward that vision. And always available and accessible if you need anything.
And before we